Pink Dress Effect podcast with Shannon
and Kim.
We are here today to talk about relationships and the 50-50 trap.
Yes.
And kind of gender, I don't know, norms like men should take the trash out. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, they definitely should.
But like things like that, right? And just as we've grown up and what kind of makes that, I don't know, makes us who we are and the expectations we have on the opposite sex.
On the opposite sex, because it's not always just in relationships, like you said. It's like even if you live at home, you know, you expect your dad to take out the trash.
Well, like I've been a single mother. I have a son.
Yeah.
He's my trash man.
That's right.
And then he comes home from college and like he's coming home in a week. I'm like, yes, I got my trash man back. I do not like taking the trash out. I think that's...
My hands are too delicate for that trash.
I don't know. Look, one of my friends, he would come over and he'd be like, why do you have that trash at that back door? I'm like, because I'm not going out there. It's too dark and I got a little alley. It's too dark. I'll go during the day and he'll go get it and then he'll take it out for me. I'm like, yes. So, and you know, this all started kind of, I had seen that Gabrielle Union reel. Yes.
And she was talking about how it just caused an uproar with her saying that her and her husband went 50-50 in their marriage.
On the mortgage, I thought.
Well, at first, she was just saying kind of casual. You know, it was a part of another discussion.
Okay, maybe the one I saw
was the second follow-up.
The follow-up, because I agreed with her 100%. So I'll have to go back and, okay.
The first one, she didn't even talk. It wasn't the focus of what she was even talking about. She was really talking about all the kind of expectations on her, just, you know, obligations for family, financial supporting, you know, other people in her family. And that ended up becoming a blow-up topic that people picked from it. The fact that he's, you know, a wealthy NBA player and they go 50-50 and people weren't
like 50-50 on everything.
They clarified later that it was like large items.
Yeah.
They weren't like nickel and diamond, you know, a bag of chips.
But one of the things that I must have watched the second one, but one of the things that I resonated with her was she talked about, I don't want to say it was a control thing. It was almost like a protection thing for her, but it was protecting herself from being too vulnerable. And I think I really resonated with her on that because sometimes, like if I've gone on dates or whatever, like as I've gotten older and I've went on more dates, guys tend to pay. Yeah. And I feel some kind of way. And I'm like, I don't want them to think that I'm like using them for dinner. I don't want them to think I can't afford to pay for my own dinner. Like, because I've been on my own for so long that there's that independence that comes with that. But I also need to let a man treat me like a woman.
Yes.
And so, it's hard. Yeah. But then I feel like sometimes if I asked a guy I was seeing out, let's go out get lunch, the expectation, I would pay for it, right?
Right.
That's how I would take it.
And I don't know. To me, it all depends on where you are in the dating stage.
Okay.
So, you know, I remember I went out in high school. This guy asked me out. We went to the movies. We got to the counter, and he looked at me to pay.
Wait a minute. He asked you on a date?
Yes, and he looked at me to pay for the movie tickets.
What?
And I paid for them. And I didn't even say anything. I just paid for them.
But were you feeling some kind of way?
Oh, no, I felt some type of way. And I was like, I'm never going out with this guy again. Because, look, my grandmother raised us. She said a man must come. He must at least have a wrench in his back pocket. Meaning, he got to work. He got to do something. He got to bring something to the table.
Now, did your grandmother believe that,
bring something to the
right,
table.
even if he brings something to the table that you can't pay sometimes?
No, I don't think, we never got into that discussion, but I just always interpreted it that it meant a man must come to the table financially or with something. What if
okay, so
and don't work, don't eat.
Like we do pretty, we've been blessed in our careers. We do pretty well. And so what if you fall in love with someone who is a hardworking man?
Yes.
But they just don't make what you make. What do you think about that?
That doesn't matter to me
at all. I know it matters to some women.
It does.
Some women, they'd be like, I'm not even going to go out with them.
They're not going with the blue collar man.
What if they don't drive a nice car? What if they don't have nice things? Like, you don't go out with them. I mean,
I don't care about material possessions.
I'm
like
the same way. Someone actually told me, I am single, and so, I have a girlfriend, and she's like, you have to look at their 401k, and you have to look at this, and you have to. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, no, I don't. Like, I mean, like to me, someone who makes less money than I do, but is a hardworking man, to me, being a hardworking man and maybe is more attractive, right, to me because you are a hardworking man and maybe you choose to take a different path, but it doesn't mean you're not a good partner.
Yeah.
And I'd rather have a good partner. Like, I'd rather be with someone who makes $50,000 a year, who treats me like a partner and who treats me with love and the way that I dream about being treated versus someone who makes $200,000 and treats me like an option.
That's right.
Sorry. I mean...
And he might not even be as available because if you're getting higher up in the income bracket, you're probably working like really crazy hours. They might not even be as available. And as men make more money, sometimes the sense of what they are, what they should have comes with their own sense of entitlement about what they should have in a relationship. And they might be like, I give you the money, but that's, I do whatever else I want to do.
Whatever. Look, I'm
it's
sorry.
An imbalance of power.
Look, I'm sorry. Look,
which goes back to, one of the stories.
We're like, whatever.
We're
whatever.
Like, no, that won't work.
Whatever. They won't work for women like us.
No. And I think that's what Gabrielle Union, I think her husband was saying the story, how it started, which was that he said one time a comment about their house being his house.
Oh.
And she was like, oh, no, you won't ever say that to me again.
But see, I agree with her 100% on that because if you're buying a house together, even if I make less money, whatever, it's our home.
Yeah.
It's our home. And, and I might only pay whatever percentage of the mortgage or whatever. But you can understand that goes back to probably deep-seated stuff with her. Yeah. And when I must have watched the rebuttal, I understood completely because even kind of where I'm at, I know that if I get married again, it's going to be an adjustment for me, I think. Yeah. Like, I feel like my house that I have now, I built that house with my money. No money.
You worked hard for that house.
And no money and no money from my marriage, no money from nobody but me.
Yes.
And
you sacrificed.
Oh my gosh, it was God, really, that I look back and I'm like, how did I even do all that? I mean, those years were very hard for me.
Yeah.
But I did it for my son because I wanted my son to have a home, but to me, my home is mine and my son's.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously mine, but that's our home, family home. If I'm dating someone, we're going to get married or we're going to move in together, he could probably come in for a little bit. But then we got to get our own house.
Yeah.
Because
you would still feel that way.
I would feel that way, and I would never want him to feel that that's not his home because he would probably feel like that's not his home, and I would never want my partner to feel that way.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's mine and my son's home. It's just, and it'll be hard for me, I think.
Yeah, and I have compassion too. I understood where she was coming from, and I understood it too that, she talked about vulnerability and being vulnerable in a relationship. And when you're with someone and you're not going 50-50, you do leave yourself kind of vulnerable. To what their wants and their needs. And it kind of goes to that whole sense of...
And she's a successful, beautiful woman.
She's a successful woman. So she wants to have autonomy and control over her own life.
Yeah.
But I think also women can take it to the extreme where they don't allow a man to treat them as we think.
It's almost
like a woman, the femininity.
It's the double standard. We want them to treat us all those ways, but then we won't let them. Right, yeah.
Because we're like,
that.
I can take care of this myself.
Yeah, and you'll never hear me saying, I am good on my own.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a beautiful home. I have nice things. I have a good job. I have all those things on my own.
You can take care of yourself.
I can take care of myself. So in a partner, I want it just to enhance my life, right?
Yeah.
And so, look, if he's making crazy money compared to what I'm making, well, he may say, Shannon, I got the mortgage. And I'm going to have to say, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he's like, you have the vacations. I mean, whatever. There could be compromise.
Whatever works in the dynamic, right.
Right. Because, I mean, I want to contribute too.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's whatever works for both of you. But I can see how you would feel like if you're giving up too much control of your own stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel...
Well, and you can see, too, even how men on the flip side. So if you do marry that man who makes $50,000 a year and you make more money, what are the dynamics then with him and his male ego about you making more money? Because a lot of men think they're okay with that, but then they're really not okay with that.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I guess I want to be treated properly. So for me, if I make a lot more money, and I it really doesn't bother me, but it might bother them. I would try to do whatever I could to make them feel like this is our money.
Yes. What about separate bank accounts? Because I know, you know, there's two trains of thought. Like if you're married or, you know, you could just be in a relationship, you combine your income and you have one account. Or people, this is my money, I keep my own account, and you have your money in your own account. So
and then
what are your thoughts on
and then
that?
you have a middle account
And
for
then
the family stuff.
Yes.
You know, I've been alone, single for a long time. I mean, it's like 13 years, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a tough question. For me, I think where I'm at now, if I was to get married again, I like the idea of him having his account. I mean, I should know how much he makes, and he should know how much I don't think of that. That should all be out in the open.
But sometimes people don't even want that.
Well, I wouldn't like that. I don't think that's fair. I think that, like, I want all of you. Like, not your money. I mean, why would you hide that? Like,
it's a trust
I'm
thing.
gonna marry you, and I don't know how much money you make. What if you lose your job? Like, you want me to, but maybe have his account, my account, and our account.
Yeah.
Figure out what percentage of whatever is going to, my money's going to go to the mortgage. What's going to go to this, vice versa.
And so who's gonna handle the budget? You know, old school.
I don't budget. I just pay bills. Do you budget, Kim?
No.
No. We
don't
know what we make. Terrible. All the bankers out there are probably like, you guys are a hot mess.
They're like, don't marry them. They don't even budget.
I don't have a budget.
I have a running budget in my head.
Yes.
You know, so I know, okay.
The budget in the head. I like that.
And I subtract. It's like there was this one movie and she was at the grocery store and it's got a little calculator up at the top and she's in the grocery store and she's subtracting and she goes, that's my budget.
Well, and I mean, obviously, I know how much money I have and I know what I have to pay, and I'm very responsible in that way.
Yeah.
But I know people who literally have a budget.
Yeah. Like an Excel document or an
No, and I have
a
girl, a really close friend of mine, when they first got together, they weren't married yet, but they were going to get married.
Yeah.
And he's amazing with that. Like, amazing.
So he should do the budget.
But she was struggling. She made more money, I think. She was making more money. And she was struggling. She was like, I only get that. Like,
he was trying to tell her what to do with her
money. This is how much money you get for clothes this month. And this is how. She was feeling some kind of way. But I think, I mean, they've been married for a long time now. So things have
they've worked it out.
They've worked it out, but I'm sure.
That probably was a struggle early on with I make this amount of money. But you're good. You're good. But it was
all transparent, and he wanted her feedback and all that. So
we don't want to be told what to do.
Maybe, especially don't you think when you've been on your own for so long? Because she had been on her own for a long time before she got married, and so she was used. She had bought a couple houses by herself. I mean, and then now you're going to come in here and tell me? I don't think so.
But doesn't that also? So we talked about like kind of the societal kind of expectations with men and women, or gender roles. But what about like just from religion? So if you have that mindset that, a woman should be submissive and a man
Look, I'm like
and a man is the, the head of the household and he kind of,
But that doesn't mean he can tell you what to do.
Right. It doesn't.
But people think that.
Sometimes.
I'm not putting that in my vows if I get married again.
Right.
I don't think it was in my first vows.
No,
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
No.
No. But you know what? I as I've gotten older, remember a long time ago when we did our first Wig TV talk show, we brought on a local pastor and we talked about this.
That's right.
And we talked about, I think sometimes when it comes to gender roles, I would not have a problem being submissive financially, even if I had a level of trust and the respect was there and I trusted this person that I'm with to take care of those things, then I wouldn't have a problem being
well, then hopefully
submissive
you're only married to someone you feel that way about, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel that way too. It's almost like the woman's
the hope.
What do they say? The woman is the heart of the home. I mean, that's even from a biblical, right?
Yeah.
So if we're the heart of the home, right? I mean, but I don't want to be told what to do. No, you're not telling
You want
me.
a partner who's going to be looking out for your welfare, being financially responsible, looking for those opportunities to treat you well. Isn't bossing you around and telling you what you can and can't do, but having an open conversation with you. I think I would want a partner who does that.
I mean, if
who
I have
do all the bills and stuff.
If I'm fortunate enough to meet a man that treats me the way that I deserve to be treated in all ways, and he makes more money than I do, and he says, look, it's my role. I want to get the mortgage and all the house stuff, and I've got the
Yes.
cars and all that. You know what? I think if it's a strong, healthy relationship,
Mm-hmm.
I should be okay with
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just talking about it, it's like, wow, is there really men out there that would want to do that for their woman?
Yes. Yeah.
Like, and they might be able to afford it. I mean, I'm sure there's men out there who can't afford it that want to do it.
Yeah.
And so no judgment there.
Yeah.
But we're talking about if someone had the means to be able to do that. I mean,
Right.
I think I'm like kind of feeling like that would be kind of nice.
That is kind of nice.
I mean, I think about the
Yeah.
pressure that I wouldn't have on myself.
Yes.
And then I would be able to be more focused on my home, our home,
Yes.
trying to make it a safe, peaceful
Yeah.
place for him.
Yeah, and that's where the other expectations, so the expectations about, cleaning the house and cooking and all the things that
That falls on a woman a lot.
stereotypically,
Yeah.
women are expected to do. However, now we do work. We work outside of the home and we work really hard. And so meeting all of those gender role expectations is a challenge.
You need help. You need help.
You absolutely need help. But if you are having a partner and they're picking up all of the financial side of things, then you are more receptive to doing all
Oh.
of the other things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You don't feel like it's like a
Yeah.
chore, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly. That's a partnership, right?
Yeah, it's a partnership.
And you have like,
Yeah.
I mean, not that women can't do yard work. I don't like yard work.
I'm
I
not
like
mowing the grass. I'm not doing it.
No. So I have friends. Well, you know me. I like
Yeah.
a very clean home.
Mm-hmm.
And there's stuff out sometimes, but to me, having stuff out and clean are two different, right?
Mhm.
I mean, my
Flutterbug versus, deep
dirty,
down.
like
Yeah,
a dirty home. I'm not. No, my bathrooms are clean. You can come use my toilet, and you're not
Yes.
gonna be like, ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, my stuff is clean.
Yes.
And for me, because the way that I like to clean, I'm not hiring a cleaning lady. Like
Mhm.
at this point in my life, I can afford it, but I'm not doing it because they're not going to do it right.
See, and I kind of want a cleaning lady.
But I got a yard guy.
Yeah.
And my yard is not big. It is not big. It is small, people, I'm telling you. But I'm not. Now, I'll plant some flowers in a little pot,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not. No.
You're not mowing that grass.
No.
But you would, because you used
Oh,
to.
I
like
did.
When you, yeah.
Look, when I was getting divorced, it's kind of funny.
Yes.
And if he watches this, I'll have to tell him to watch this episode. He came over to my house, our house, one
Mhm.
day. I don't know if he was coming to get our son,
Mm-hmm.
and I was mowing the grass. And he said, and we had a big yard. My yard was big. He said, Shannon, I could take care of the grass for you. Like, you lost the right to mow my grass. You don't get to mow my grass.
You cut off your nose and spite your face.
Exactly. So it was hot as blazes in freaking North Carolina weather in the middle of summer. But I was so mad, and I was like, you lost the right. And I meant every word I said.
I know.
So he leaves with our son. I'm like, damn, what
Here
did
you
I do?
are, mowing the grass.
The
sweating
one thing I
bullets.
hate. And that's I think when my allergies started. Trimming bushes and stuff I don't like to do. But he would have done it for me.
Yeah.
But I was stubborn mule, and I was like, you don't get to cut my grass. How about that? Get out of here. I'm going to tell him to watch this. I'll be like, you got to watch this.
So maybe that's part of it too, that men and women need to just put their egos aside sometimes. Just put them aside.
I'm like, I don't need you. I'll
Yeah.
mow my own damn grass. Look. But what about like women? I mean, it's not gender role, but like, I know we were talking about marriage.
Yeah.
What about when I first met my ex-husband?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we got married in the 90s. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was going to be my first and last name with a hyphen. He didn't like that. He didn't like that. I'm like, why? And that was the 90s. I'm like,
Yeah.
no. I'm not getting married till I'm 30 anyway. And he's like, why? Why would you wait? Because we got married way younger. But
Yeah.
but anyway, I didn't wait till I was 30 like my plan.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt like I'm not giving up my identity.
See, and I feel kind of traditional.
Do you?
Which a lot of people would not think that about
What
me.
about our age now, though? What would you do now? Because I took my maiden name back, and that was when you get a divorce in North Carolina, you can take your name back for free. And so
Yeah.
I was like, let me get that name back.
I think if I were in that situation with having children, I might keep the name.
See, my son was 7, well, going to be 8, and that was a struggle for me.
Yeah.
But I also was angry.
Yeah.
And
You're
I
like,
didn't
I don't want that name.
I don't want that sorry name. I remember saying that. I want this damn name. It made me, it hurt me. So
Yeah.
I don't want
Yeah.
that. I don't
Yeah.
want that. But I did think about my son.
Yes.
And we sat down and talked. And I said, buddy, Nana and Grandpa gave me my name. And I said, and I'm thinking about keeping my name. How would you feel if I had a different last name than you? And he said, well, Mom, and I explained how, when I was born, Nana and Grandpa gave me their name. And then when you get married, he was so young.
Yeah.
He said, well, Mom, it makes most sense that we have the same name. I said, you're right, buddy. But you know that if I take my last name back, that's just because Nana and Grandpa gave it to me. And it doesn't mean I'm not your mom, right?
Yeah.
Remember, he's 8 years old.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I know, duh. I remember him saying that. And actually, it's been fine.
Yeah, and you did what was best for you.
For me, because I didn't want that. And look, his friends where we used to live, they still call me by my other name. Whatever. I just say, call me Miss Shannon. Whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And now, professionally, people knew me at the married name.
Yes.
And I put my new name, and then in parentheses for 6 months, the married name.
Yeah.
And then after 6 months, I dropped it. And now where I'm at, though, I've had very, public jobs. I think that people where I live in a bigger area know me at my name now.
I feel the same.
And I think that I could, if I got married again, I could still take his name, but I would go publicly by my current name.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be a good compromise.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to taking someone's name.
Well, I recently, and I thought
don't
I had
know.
never heard of anyone doing this. It was I don't know, probably late 20s. A couple got married, and I just knew them professionally, and they created a whole new last name that was a combination. I can't even remember what it was a combination of, but they discussed creating a new last name. That's a combination of things. So I don't know if it was different names from each of the families, but it wasn't either one of them. Their last name.
I wonder if that was. I'd be curious to see if that was a woman, the woman
initiating
it.
And the person that spoke about it, he talked about them talking with their families about it, and he said surprisingly, no one pushed back on that. I don't know who initiated it. I'll ask.
You'll have to ask.
I will
and
ask.
Give us a
But I
follow-up
had never heard of a couple doing that before. That was new.
What about men that take women's names? Now, when I lived in Rochester, New York, there was a couple on our street. And he took her name. And I remember people in the cul-de-sac. Now, they were younger, much younger. They thought that was odd. They were like, oh, he is, like, she wears the pants in that family.
She's like, you're going to take this last name.
I mean, I don't know the woman. I don't know her. But the guys in the neighborhood felt some kind of way about it. They were like, ew. Like it wasn't. Like it was like he was wimpy or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And no disrespect. Look, my sister has a friend. Her husband took her last name, but it was because his father wasn't involved in his life. So he wanted his children, I think, to have a name that mattered.
Yeah.
So you can see people do it for different reasons.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that's the whole point of everything then too, really, that just a negotiation about what works for you and forget about all the societal expectations about what you should do. What do you want to do?
Right. And also if you don't agree, right? It's like sometimes I use the if you're painting a wall, right? We're getting an apartment, Kim, and I want a blue wall and you want a pink wall. Well, let's not argue about it. Let's compromise and do a red wall. So then we're both happy, right? And it's kind of the same, I think, with this. It's like I might feel some kind of way, you feel some kind of, but how do you compromise?
Yeah.
So that way both of you are feeling heard and seen, and because it's a relationship.
Yeah, and looking at where the talent lies. So like you're talking about budgeting. Well, if I'm a spender and you are more conservative, then it probably makes sense for you to do the budget.
I'm thinking like if I get married again and he wants to do that, like I need to know what's going on because that would be hard for me to let go fully. But I do think that I would probably prefer them just handle it. That would be nice for someone to handle the bills.
Yeah.
I get tired
I think
of
I would
it.
love that. I would,
as long as they're transparent, right?
Yeah.
And they talk to you about things and keep you in the loop. I don't want to be someone who doesn't know what's going on. But wouldn't that be nice not to have to deal with that crap?
And I'm a spender.
See, I like to shop too. I know we like to shop. But we're good shoppers.
So right. We're budget shoppers.
But
you know, look, if we go to the budget stores too often, it kind of adds up to the same. But yeah,
it's bad. Like when you have to buy new hangers.
Right? We talked about.
I had to buy new hangers. Yeah, I know. Like
What about the cooking and cleaning? So what about that? Like,
well, I mean, I feel like I was a stay-at-home mom for a little while.
Yeah.
I was not a good stay-at-home mom. I mean, I love my son, but for me as a mom, like, right, it was great. But as a mom, my thought process when I was home, was my job was in the house. I should do the laundry. I should try to have dinner. Dinner was flexible sometimes, but like it should be clean.
Yeah, because who wants to cook every day?
Right.
Yeah.
Clean the bathroom, have the house clean. That was that was what I thought. Now at 5 o'clock, when he got home, childcare, everything else, that's free fall. To me, both our jobs ended, and of course our son was so little, he'd be like, Daddy, Daddy, and he wanted Daddy, where Daddy probably just wanted to chill.
Yeah.
And I kind of probably wanted that because but I felt like at 5 o'clock or when he got home, I felt like it was a fair game.
Your work day is over too.
Right.
That is fair.
I felt like it was a fair game. Now, where I'm at now, working professional, I think you have to have those conversations. I think, look, if you expect dinner every night, I'm not cooking every night. We can go out, we can pick something up, but I'm not cooking every night.
Yeah.
I don't like to cook that much.
Yeah, and as I've gotten older, look, I cook on Sundays.
Yeah.
Because of tradition, I think. The expectation is that you cook on Sundays.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, well, I can stick with that.
Yep.
I can stick with that expectation, honor that. But I'm not cooking during the week because I'm busy. And, I do cook because I have to feed myself. But through the years, other people have gotten different ways of eating. And so you're welcome to eat what I cook. But if you want something else, you got to cook it for yourself.
Well, and especially with your kids are grown. But do you feel do you feel like you have to have dinner for your husband? Do you feel
no,
like all that?
I don't. Sundays.
Some women though do feel that way. I mean, I have another friend. I mean, she's like, we got to talk about dinner, and so I told her the other day. I said, well, why don't your two kids are in college? You got. Why don't you cook one day, each kid cook one day, and another day? I said, because my kid's in college, I'm not cooking.
We tried that. We tried a rotation with people different days.
It didn't work.
Well, it kind of.
I'll have to tell her.
Right. But really, ultimately, I don't know. It didn't work that good. But I don't.
But you tried it.
But earlier in the years, I did have more traditional roles as far as
I think so.
Cooking and cleaning and all of
and
all
I
of
think
those
too,
things.
I set up in my marriage. Because I'm just such a giver, which is a good quality, but can be a bad quality. Because I remember when I was dating my husband, I'd be washing his laundry and stuff. I wanted to do everything. Oh, well, that stuff comes back to bite you. Because then they expect all of that.
Look, and
I'm not doing it again.
This is the best advice.
I'm not doing it again.
Best advice. Start out how you're going to want to stay.
Yes.
Because I had the same thought. I'm getting married.
Because you're so in love.
You're so in love, and I'm going to be the responsibility for raising the kids is mine, and blah, blah, blah. But really, I think that was about control, too, because I wanted to raise the kids and discipline the kids and do all that the way I wanted to.
Well, mine didn't fold the laundry the right way. So.
Right. So, and mine would wash the whites with the colors.
Oh, no.
And shrink sweaters and do all those types of things. So,
and you got to wash the whites.
But it did start that way. And I think if you're not going to want to start with traditional gender roles, don't start. If
don't
you're not
start.
Finish.
Yeah, you got to. And it's going to change as the years go on, of course. But I think I set. And it wasn't his fault. It was me.
Yeah, me too.
I was just and then you get to a point where you're like, okay, wait, can't you help? Or whatever. And it's like, but you
That's
set
what you get Mother's Day for.
Right, but you set this expectation. Yeah. It's your fault. I mean, it was totally my fault.
No,
I mean,
me too.
It's kind of funny. But now at this stage, I think going into if I got married again, it would be different.
Yeah.
It would be different, and it would just be different. It would just
and just talk to each other with respect. Figure out what works for the both of you and forget all the other stuff.
Exactly. Well, I'm sure our viewers at home have probably had these same conversations with their friends or their partners. But it's not something that can't be solved, right? I mean, it's things that can be solved.
Yeah, these are simple little problems. Well, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. And really ask yourself, are you trying to be controlling?
Yeah.
Or
are you trying to shame the other partner in the relationship?
And allow them to be allow yourself to be vulnerable, because when someone does commit to you, I think they love you and they want to see the best for you. And
think about equity versus equality. Sometimes things are not always going to be 50-50. And you have to think about, somebody else picking up the load in one area, maybe you pick it up in another area.
Right, exactly. Sometimes it might be 90-10.
It might be.
You might need them. So just keep your mind open to that, because healthy relationships are the goal, right?
Yes.
Always healthy,
Yeah.
always healthy. Well, that was fun.
That was fun.
That was fun. That was fun. Well, thank you for joining us. Subscribe on our YouTube channel and listen to us on Spotify. Our next episode is going to be My Way or the Highway. Almost kind of like we're going to talk about like, okay, so I like doing things a certain way. And so where people have that expectation. So I might celebrate, I'll use Kim's birthday.
Yeah.
I'm a big birthday person.
Yeah.
And I'll go crazy, but then maybe when it's mine, I shouldn't say just.
You get a card with a gift card in it.
Where I'm like, you got the card, the lunch, the balloons, like I go nuts.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we set ourselves up to think other people are going to treat us the way that we treat them. And that can get us in trouble.
It can.
Because it's not good. Because people aren't going to treat you the same way. So looking forward to diving deeper into that conversation. But thank you again for your support. And we look forward to you joining us. Have a wonderful day.
See you next time.